Listen, if I pull up to the Mexican restaurant and I see a truck, because let's face it, it's going to be a truck, with a Trump bumper sticker, you're getting keyed. I don't even want to see you at Taco Bell. The only thing you get to eat for the rest of your life is plain white bread and mayonnaise. And I know that you were going to eat a lot of that anyway, but that's all you deserve. You deserve nothing that tastes good for the rest of your life.
Well, she clearly had too many chimichangas and margaritas. Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings. My name's Luke Radowski here of thebestpoliticalshow.com, and we will be going live for the next 2 hours discussing all the latest and craziest news developing right now. As, of course, we have a crazy situation developing on the southern border right now, as there's a lot of immigration news happening as shots are fired on the southern border. What's really going on here as the DEA is raiding an invitation-only Tren Agua party as Colombia has completely capitulated to Donald Trump and is now taking back illegal immigrants after Donald Trump threatened them with tariffs. Selena Gomez is also making a lot of news headlines, as there's also some very important developments surrounding crypto and Bitcoin today, as we are going to be doing a larger deep dive into Monero and its wallet, its implications, as we are going to be utilizing it in this particular special live stream that we probably won't be doing for quite a while. But while we are here, you guys, as members of LukeUnfiltered.com, will be able to call in for this particular show and actually be a part of it. So just go to LukeUnfiltered.com. I am in the members Telegram chat right now. You guys could super chat for free, but also more importantly, in about an hour from now, you guys are able to call in and be a part of the show, be able to ask us whatever you want just by simply signing up to LukeUnfiltered.com. First-time callers still get free supplements from wearechange.shop, and we are going to be taking super chats, not just from mysuperchat.com, but xmrchat.com/wearechange. What is this type of technology? Well, our guest is going to be helping us figure it out, as truly the levels of technological advancements and integration, especially with Bitcoin and crypto, are fascinating. And that's why we have Douglas Tuman on the show today. Douglas, for the people who don't know who you are, who are you and how would you introduce yourself?
What's going on, man? Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I think there's someone. I think someone has some kind of cable connected to some kind of power source, and I think that's the buzz that's happening there. So if you move, now it's fine. But I think it's your cable actually, Douglas. So just be careful with the audio cable, and I think that's what's causing the reverb. If anyone has anything plugged in over
right
there,
now?
or move your cell phones away from there too. I think that could be the larger issue and problem. But it looks like we already have an XRP chat right now.
You already got an XMR chat?
Yeah,
all right.
That's awesome. This is a new kind of tech that we didn't
guys,
really use before.
Send your XMR chats. It's super easy to do. You just go to xmrchat.com/wearechange, xmrchat.com/wearechange. You don't need to make an account. Super easy. If you know how to use Monero, it'll just ask you to basically type in a little message, whatever you want to send to Luke, and it will ask you to send some Monero. You can send him 10 cents. You can send him $10. You can send him $10 million, any amount of Monero, and the transaction fee would always be the same, just a fraction of a cent. And all transactions go directly from the sender to the receiver, to Luke's wallet. So super cool.
Yeah, this is exciting. This is something that we've never really utilized before. I mean, back in the day, I remember we were kind of talking about the larger implications here, but in real time, you could see on the bottom left hand, depending on how you're watching it, corner there, you could see the kind of super chats through Monero kind of pop up there. We already got one from Monero Extremist saying, "It's about time you came to the coolest donation/super chat platform. All the cool kids are here." We got another one saying LFG, another one saying let's go. So
That's
yeah,
amazing.
this is pretty interesting tech that we're mainly utilizing, mainly because of Donald Trump's meme coin. I will explain why later on, as of course a lot of people are like, why is Trump doing the meme coins? I think it's a great thing, and I'll explain why with Douglas, as of course we want to do a larger deep dive, since this is XMR Chat is kind of your platform, correct?
Yes, I'm behind one of the guys behind XMR Chat. We could get into it, but the most important things to say about it is no fees, right? So Luke isn't losing 20% to some bank or YouTube, right? The Monero, the digital cash that gets sent to him goes directly to his wallet. So that's really powerful. That empowers people like Luke that want to perhaps say things that might be considered controversial, right? He can't be debanked from xmrchat.com. He most certainly can never be debanked from Monero. So that's the real power. And then the other power is the fact that it's censorship resistant and private by default. So once Luke receives his Monero, nobody knows what he does with it thereafter. But we could get further into all those things. I never properly introduced myself. I guess I should do that, right?
Yeah. Who are you for the people who don't know you? As there's probably an IRS agent like licking his chops right now.
No, I pay all my taxes, Luke.
I pay all the extortion fees. But no, I'll explain why we're doing this for multiple reasons. The IRS is one of them. As Donald Trump now is also promising to send 87,000 IRS agents down to the southern border. As of course, I think they're going to be doing something else soon. Sorry, Douglas. Who are you for the people who don't know who you are?
Douglas Tuman, born and raised in the New York area. I'm actually a civil engineer by day. I'm an attorney as well, but I don't really practice. But I'm also a Monero advocate, longtime Monero advocate. I got into Bitcoin back in the day. I actually started off with Dogecoin in 2013. When it first launched, I had heard about Bitcoin, never stopped to understand it, never stopped to research it, just figured it was something that was going to get shut down. And then Dogecoin launched, and I was like, oh, here's my chance to turn $50 into, $5,000, bought some Dogecoin, woke up the next morning, bought it with on Reddit with PayPal, right? It's like you shouldn't be buying crypto in that fashion. And I stored it on an online wallet, woke up the next day, all my Doge was gone. And I remember it's because it was Christmas morning, actually. And I was like, this cryptocurrency thing is so stupid. I'm like, you just lose your money. I was like, there has to be more to it. And that got me Googling, reading the Bitcoin white paper. I was like, well, private key, public. I was like, mind blown. This thing is going to, completely disrupt the current banking system. I was like 100% sold. Bitcoin maxi. Until the day I started using Bitcoin, trying to get my friends into it. Right? I'd send them a little Bitcoin, and they would respond and be like, oh, hey, you showed me that you could look up the transactions on the block explorer. They're like, by the way, I see you have 5 Bitcoin there. That's pretty cool. I'm like, huh. I'm like, I've never given my friends money in the past, and then they can then tell me how much I have in my account. I was like, this is not gonna work. And that sent me down the Monero rabbit hole. So I've been going down it ever since.
Well, let's talk about Monero. Let's talk about the tech in a little bit. Obvious, of course, there's so much news happening right now that everyone really wants to get into. But I'm super excited about this because this is something that kind of has been around, but it's kind of evolving and changing, especially now under a Trump administration, that we would love to get your kind of perspective and insight to see where it's actually going, because it definitely does seem like there's going to be monumental shifts in our larger financial markets, like we saw today with that larger AI story. But before getting into all of that, Kristen Megan also in the house as well. Always great to have you here, Kristen. Appreciate you. Who are you for the people who don't know who you are?
Well, I am a military whistleblower. I am a liberty activist, legal expert witness in the health freedom realm, a loudmouth liberty forcer, podcast host. I have my hands in many things. So that's basically to sum it up without giving you a 90-minute explanation.
Awesome. Well, it's great to have you here. Sad that you're going to be leaving us soon. Can't believe you're doing that already. As, of course, Tammy Clark also in the house as well. Tammy, for the people who don't know you, who are you?
My name is Tammy Clark. I call myself an accidental activist because, like Kristen, my colleague actually here, I have become a government whistleblower through the craziness of the last 5 years that we've lived through. Blew the whistle on OSHA and our government response. And now I mainly work as a political activist and strategist.
Yep. Awesome. Great to have you here as well, even though you're stealing Kristen away from us.
Great
Steph's
to be here.
In the house as well.
Hey everyone, this is Steph We Are Change, and I am the button pusher of this show.
Nice. We're going to be reading off as many of these new Monero super chats as much as we can during the conversation. Steph, they're on screen. If you see any of them that are related to the conversation, feel free to interrupt and then bring up any of them that are related to what we're talking about here. As of course, let's just dive into the news as we're hearing that there was a firefight that erupted in Fronton, Texas, as a suspected Mexican cartel member fired at U.S. Border Patrol. As a lot of people are saying that this scenario, this situation is something that could get completely out of control very quickly, as the Trump administration definitely does not look like they are playing around, as they have implemented a lot of Border Patrol, a lot of drones, a lot of new tech, and they are setting up the wall. The wall, once again, is being built on the southern border, and there's a lot of private enterprises out there that aren't too happy about this, as it definitely does look like there are some larger kind of troubles ahead, as many people expect potential clashes between some of these criminal organizations, U.S. Border Patrol. We are already seeing it today. And this could spark off what a lot of people in the right wing have been trying to push for, and that is a larger kind of U.S. intel war against some of the larger kind of cartel organizations down in the southern border of the United States. But this is big. I think this has the potential of getting completely out of control very quickly, especially when we look at Mexico and the way that they kind of are treating a lot of these larger situations, as of course, very quickly, very surely, someone could potentially lose their lives here, and that could only kind of begin the larger kind of crescendo moment where we could see more and more of that. Now, I know Alex Jones has his particular take on it, saying there's going to be more immigration rallies, there's going to be false flags, it's going to be crazy. I don't know if we want to go there, but if you guys do, feel free to go there. Because it really does seem like this immigration issue is the main issue of this Trump administration, and it's something that's becoming the most contentious issue with a lot of people speaking out against it.
Well, what I'm wondering is if they're still using the same long weapons that the Obama administration had funneled that way. I'm very interested to see if that's still the case.
Yeah, with Operation Fast and Furious, which under Eric Holder, the Attorney General of the United States at the time, literally was like, hey, all the cool, fun toys and weapons that American citizens can't have, we're just going to give it to all the cartel guys down there on the southern border, and then we're going to see what happens with them. Yeah, great
and
program.
Then they can kill our border agents.
Yeah.
It's full circle.
Yeah, good point, Kristen. As of course, a lot of people should remember what the Obama administration did here, as clearly the Biden administration was allowing these guys to do whatever they wanted to do. And now it definitely does seem like there's a definite kind of change of pace here, a definite kind of change of different approach here when it comes to this very serious situation.
Yeah, and I just saw, one of the comments was, it's time for us to use deadly force. Well, of course, absolutely. They're getting fired on. This is our country. That is an invasion. Of course we should be using deadly force. It's going to get, like you said, very interesting very quickly here.
Yes, and hopefully cooler minds prevail. But with the way that things are going, we're dealing with entire criminal organizations that are incentivized through keeping the border wide open.
And now they have been named to be terrorist organizations by President Trump. So you don't fight a war against terrorists peacefully. So it's going to get very interesting.
Yes, there's also talk of U.S. Special Forces being utilized here. And I think, a lot of people on the right think that, oh, yeah, it's just going to be in and out. Hunky-dory. It's going to be super clean, super easy, and it's going to be like Iraqi freedom liberation. They're going to greet us in as liberators and freedom fighters. But I think the situation is far more complex, especially.
Well, unfortunately, for people that are kind of blind to the atrocities at the hands of the cartels, like, they don't just shoot you. Like, I can't even say what they do to your body. So sadly, if that happens to a military member, I think it's really going to wake people up to, like, they are the initial aggressor, and they're bringing in fentanyl. To me, I'm for the legalization of all drugs except fentanyl, because that does affect the person next to you. But I mean, this is the fact that they're flexing back so hard, knows that they actually fear what Trump is doing at the border. Because like I told you, as a libertarian, I fully admit my views have changed on the border. Sometimes you have to see stuff go sideways, and we've had too much of it.
Well, and let's face it, these cartels are in control of our government officials. Many of them are fully controlled by these cartels. We saw that. Kristen and I have worked very closely with the legislature in Arizona through the election cycle. We have been on an ad hoc committee in the Senate Health Committee there, and so we've been in Arizona many times, and we have learned a lot of how captured even the governor of Arizona is, and some of these politicians all over the country, how captured they are and controlled by these cartels. So these cartels are going to fight back very hard because they know what they're at stake and at risk of losing.
Excuse me. A lot of them also have ties to intel agencies that helped them get their start and trained them. And one of the biggest, fiercest kind of criminal organizations in Mexico was essentially a sect of Secret Service kind of police units that was trained by the Americans, and then later off just started their own branch of this kind of larger criminal organization. Douglas, what do you think about this debate, since a lot of people, especially in the libertarian camp, have very kind of wide-ranging views about the border?
Yeah, I think I share your opinions. I mean, my views have also evolved. I'm very much libertarian minded. Open borders. Let's let the best and the brightest compete to come to the U.S. and make it as easy as possible. But obviously, that all falls apart when people are just doing it illegally, right? So we need to secure our borders for these things to have free and open societies. We need to have strong borders, right? We need to have security. The one thing the nation, the state should be offering is security, right? Because without it, these other things can't flourish, and we're seeing complete failure in terms of protecting the border, and people are seeing it firsthand all over the U.S. So I think politically, the people are behind this, right? That's why one of the major reasons why Trump got elected. I deal with normies all the time, and I'm not just like one of these people that's like on Twitter and say, I'm out there with my day job, and you could just see it. The people are very much behind this initiative, and I think it's for all the right reasons, and we're going to see change. And the fact that you're seeing these incidents now happen is just going to rally more people behind it. Obviously you're going to see some things on the right. You open up the New York Times. I haven't checked it today. I'm sure there's some negative spin on Trump. But the people see all through this bullshit at this point. I think they've lost the plot.
Well, yeah, you're already seeing. At least I've seen the AI generated pictures of like these young girls hiding behind like men's legs, like trying to not be, taken out of the country. But I think people miss the narrative is that they're going first after the people who are known criminals. I'm from Michigan. You probably heard some of the stories that have happened to the women in our state. So sadly, if you came here legally, it does affect the children, but it's not to just rip these children away from their families. Remember who did that in the first place. It wasn't this current administration. But also you have to remove your emotion and go, listen, you came here illegally and you were incentivized to come here, which I think was for votes. They were given a lot of resources that were meant for those of us that allow our income to be extorted. Me as a veteran, veterans resources were directed to them. And meanwhile, you have veterans waiting 6 months for care. So my point is, yes, it's sad, but that's what happens. If I commit a crime with my child in the car, my child's going to end up in the system. Whose fault is that? It's my fault. It's not the fault of the government.
Yeah. Well, we know the Democrats had a larger plan to take over the entire United States with future Democratic voters, and they were willing to say, drug traffickers, human traffickers, come on in, guys. Criminals that are being let loose from places like Venezuela, come on in, guys, as long as, of course, we get dominance over everyone else. And we have to understand the larger kind of sinister, larger plan that was kind of unfolded here. Bernie Sanders called this the larger kind of Koch brothers plan, but this kind of plan of mass migration was also weaponized against blue-collar, middle America that had to compete more severely in the labor market and had to fight more for, of course, housing that went up. Labor went down as this was a larger kind of attack, not just on our political system, but our kind of way of life, to the point where they literally were like, just come on in, guys. They were working with UN organizations. They were working with supposed Catholic organizations, and they were just taking anybody and everybody in without even checking them, without even giving them a test, without even mandating certain procedures that people who wanted to come in legally were forced to jump through the hoops with. And this was a mass trafficking organization that was done through your tax dollars that was trying to dominate and destroy our political system forever. So it's imperative for Donald Trump to deal with this in a way where he unravels this. And I think he's doing this in a strategic way. He's not just deporting little Dora the Explorer. He's not just deporting anyone he sees. He's going after after criminals. He's going after organizations. He's going after people that have extensive criminal records that you could say, hey, do you really want this person living in your society? This guy hurt this child. This guy ran this person over. This guy hurt this person. This guy stole from this person. Do you want these elements in your society? As there was governments, blue city Democratic governments that were protecting criminals from the federal government so they would not get deported. That situation.
I live in New York. I live in Queens, and I saw it firsthand, right? And that's why I'm saying the people are behind it. The people that live, because we saw, Queens got transformed. It's all the like local shitty motels turned into
Migrant
hotels, right? We saw it firsthand. Then we saw camps going up in areas, and you just see. When you see it firsthand and you see that the city doesn't have the resources to do it, you know that things were going terribly wrong. And the Democrats didn't take the initiative to change it. And you're seeing that Trump is changing it overnight in a matter of days. And they acted like there was nothing they could do, that they can't pass any executive orders, that they need Congress to come together. So yeah, I think just another big win for Trump in terms of him saying what he was going to do, following through, and being extremely effective.
Absolutely, 100%. Because when you look at some of these larger criminal elements, like the Tren de Agua party that got recently busted in Adams County, Colorado, you're seeing individuals who can't even finish their cervezas because the government's actually on top of this, rather than the school board meetings that the feds used to go to, rather than the activist organizations and pro-life organizations that they used to infiltrate. They're now actually going after criminal gangs and organizations. Imagine being law enforcement within the past 4 years being told, no, you can't go after these people, even though they committed crimes, even though they did something illegal. Now the gloves are off, and people who are having invitation-only Tren de Agua parties are getting busted. This is something that we've never really seen before, and it essentially sets up a larger chilling effect for a lot of people who are here illegally, telling them specifically, hey, you guys better not commit any kind of illegal actions, because if you do, there's going to be some larger consequences for you, as what Donald Trump is doing is essentially what all these other countries are doing as well. There's this crazy video highlighting what happened to an American citizen that overstayed her 180-day tourist visa in Mexico. And this is what she had to go through, as in the United States, people were just essentially allowed to do whatever they wanted to do.
So this is what happens when you get caught in Mexico. How did they even find me in the first place? I was coming back from a concert in a bus stop at a toll booth. Some guy came in asking for ID. I showed him my California ID, but I didn't have my passport. Next thing I knew, I was in a van. I got to the immigration office. They patted me down, took away all my belongings. They looked me up and they saw that I overstayed my 180-day tourist visa. Long story short, they didn't let me leave the immigration office until I bought my ticket to go back to the USA. Which is crazy because I already have my dual citizenship in process, but it's not complete yet. That could be why it didn't show up in the system. The closest flight I could get had multiple stops. Before I went to LA, I stopped at Monterrey. I thought it was going to be a smooth process going back to the United States, but then this happened. I didn't get my little paper stamp that they give you when you enter the country, so I ended up missing my flight. And anyone that overstays their 180 days, you have to pay a fee of 717 pesos, which is $35. But since I'm being kicked out of the country, I didn't have to pay that Anyways, fee. They got me another multiple stop flight, so it took me 2 more flights before I got back to the United States. Yes, and once I saw the Edgar cuts and the LA outfit, I landed back to the motherland.
Adios, vámonos. Aquí, people on the left would be saying that's racist, that's bigoted, how dare they? That's what other countries do. I actually know a few gringos that were trying to kind of expatriate in Mexico. They got caught during a random checkpoint, because that's what they do in Mexico. They stop your bus, they stop your form of transportation, they stop your car, they do a checkpoint, they're like, give me your papers are not up to date, you get deported. And guess what, the government's not paying for your deportation like they do here in the United States. You're paying for it yourself, and you're out of there. Now, granted, I know other individuals who were able to bribe Mexican officials in order to stay a little bit longer, but that's kind of Mexico for you and how they deal with their larger immigration policies. As there's even people within Mexico City that have a gringo go home movement saying, hey, there's too many people here from outside of Mexico that are turning Mexico City not into Mexico City. And I don't see a lot of people saying that's racist or bigoted. That's kind of understandable a little bit. People want to keep their own kind of native land, native language. And for the people here to be outraged about this are absolutely insane because they don't understand just how bad it is everywhere else and how absolutely lucky we have it here in the United States.
Yeah, I travel a lot abroad and across the U.S., and I border Canada living in Michigan. And every time Tammy and I have crossed a border, especially Canada, like just coming back into the United States or going across, you are made to feel like, I'm like, what did I smuggle in my prison purse? Like, I'm nervous. They make me feel like a criminal, even though I've done nothing wrong. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, like, do I have wine? Like it's crazy. But then just to know, you can just come down through the South and come on in, and they turned a blind eye. So it's crazy how other countries are strict about even just visiting on vacation. And then it's so hypocritical. I get so pissed off at the selective outrage, and the default is it's racist, it's wrong. We're just having we have high standards. Let's meet them, because other countries are, you have to have your face scanned. I mean, you just shy of a colonoscopy. I mean, to get in through the country, it's getting worse.
Yeah, Mexico has higher immigration standards than we do here inside of the United States, especially when you get caught there violating their immigration laws. Why aren't we talking about that? Why aren't there a bunch of leftist crazy activists in Mexico saying, no, allow everyone in, let them stay forever? You don't have that there. So the conversation here is already pretty twisted. And I think finally we're getting a grasp on the kind of severity of this, as already thousands of people are being deported. These are all criminals. These are all people that have violated the law and hurt people in one way or another. Overall, again, immigration wasn't really my big issue, really ever. But seeing the weaponization of it, seeing the way that it's been kind of utilized by powerful elites against the people here of the United States, I'm actually 100% in support of what Donald Trump is doing right now.
Well, it is the law. I mean, anyone who comes here illegally is actually a criminal. They're breaking our known existing laws. And the number one job of the president is to protect the citizens of this country. So I think people need to step back and remember that a nation without borders is not a nation, exists to be a nation. And if we want to remain healthy and safe, then President Trump is doing exactly what any president should do and what all presidents have done. And so this outrage against that is just insane. Like you said, it's just insane.
Yeah. The spat between Donald Trump and the Colombian government also was pretty telling, as, of course, the U.S. government sent an airplane full of criminals back to Colombia. And Colombia said, no aquí, senor. And Donald Trump said, what? Oh, hell no. We're going to be issuing tariffs. And Colombia then quickly rescinded after sending some weird messages online. There was a lot of memes surrounding this particular situation, like the one you're seeing on screen right now of the Colombian president. And the Colombian president also with some interesting people of the night, I'll just say people loosely, activities that were also highlighted on social media after this. But it looks like Colombia has completely capitulated and will be taking back all the illegals that have entered their country without doing the proper process after Donald Trump promised the tariffs. This is something that, again, the Democrats could have done a long time ago. If you remember the kind of old school Democrats, they used to talk about, hey, you commit a crime, you get deported. It's that simple. Don't commit any crimes here. Don't violate the law. Don't hurt people. Don't steal from people, and everything will be okay if you guys want to live here. But that situation has been absolutely put on its head. So seeing Donald Trump actually fight and go after these world leaders is pretty indicative of him actually standing up for the American people.
He's showing what the executive branch is supposed to do, what the chief of the executive branch is supposed to do for the U.S. government. He's actually taking action and using all the powers that he can use. You just didn't see. Thankfully, we didn't see Biden do it, because obviously he'd use it in the wrong direction. But yeah, at the end of the day, Trump has balls, right? That's really what this comes down.
Well,
what it comes down to.
And Tom Homan has become like Carmen Sandiego. Like every time I go on X, he's in a new city. I think he was in Chicago. But how quickly? I mean, it's not even been 2 weeks. I don't know, because I've been on the road. I was at the inauguration, but my point is, how much has been done in less than 2 weeks? And people act like it's him being this dictator. It's like, nope, these were always presidential powers. By the way, these are constitutional. And it's like we did not correctly use the government resources that are designed to protect we the people. It's how quickly it was fixed. And the left just campaigned on, oh, we're going to fix the border, as if they had 4 years to do this, and they were the problem. So I just celebrate. That's why I think so many libertarians like have a hard time. You know, they went and voted for Trump, but they have to realize these incremental wins, they're so important. There's just so much winning. I don't know what to do.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. It's a very rare situation that I think the average person isn't really kind of used to. What? The government actually cares about us and making sure that,
Right,
that
we didn't think it was possible,
What?
right?
Yeah, like,
Right.
The free Ross was, I mean, that was the most epic moment, obviously, so far. And the fact that he did that really proved that he's willing to be a man of his word.
yeah, and he's now also considering pardoning Ross Ulbricht. From all the sources that I have internally, that decision is probably going to be made soon.
Roger.
Roger Ver.
Well, I don't know. I mean, Elon, you saw Elon coming out against it. That was like, what the
Did
you guys-
Elon Musk come out against Roger
did.
Ver?
Yeah,
He
Elon
did. Really?
made a
What?
com- made
he
a
was.
comment.
A lot of people are misconstruing, and I think friend of the show Martha Bueno pointed out. There's nothing that says you have to be a citizen to be pardoned, because he was an American, but he doesn't like the fact that he's not a citizen. And I forget, it's on his X account, but I was really shocked by
He's
that.
basically saying you lost that privilege by
by renouncing your
Yeah,
citizenship.
but Roger Ver kind of read the room, and he was like, "Yeah, I want to get out of here because clearly the prosecutors here are acting very predatory." He made a video saying, "I want to come back. I want to invest in America. I want to be an American." And Roger Ver, we'll talk about him later on. We'll play some of his videos.
He believes in
Yeah.
the idea of America, wherever that idea may be, right? And he saw that idea no longer existing within this border, right? They made him an enemy of the state, and he left to pursue liberty, right? Which is how America was created in the first place. It was people leaving to pursue liberty. So this idea that you're not allowed to leave in pursuit of liberty is completely ridiculous.
Yeah, and the fact that he's going to be extradited back to the United
Right.
States, it's just a crazy, insane case that truly boggles your mind. We'll talk about Roger in a little bit here, but just coming back to the original kind of discussion we had about Colombia versus Trump, I think this picture here perfectly represents the current situation that unfolded with the Colombian kid there, thinking that he's going to get away with it. Well, guess what? He's not, as AOC had a very interesting response to this, saying that, oh my God, the price of coffee is going to go up if we deport the criminals here in the United States. The most ridiculous kind of take on the situation. As I wrote, criminal gangbangers terrorizing your community versus potentially a 25% increase on your Starbucks latte. I think it's worth it, but it's not even that. As of course, multiple countries have coffee. You could import them. Obviously, if Colombia had higher coffee prices, people would just go to El Salvador and get their coffee there.
Guatemala.
Or Guatemala or Ecuador. And then Colombia would lose out on the international markets, especially the American markets. And this wouldn't punish the American consumer. It would predominantly punish Colombia, where now the consumer would say, yeah, I'm not buying Colombian coffee. It's too expensive. I'm just going to buy other coffee that we get there that, of course, work with us, prioritize us, and they're willing to take back their own citizens that violated the law here domestically within the United States. It's that clear, as Donald Trump also tweeted this picture specifically of himself on Truth Social in a mobster's kind of outfit, saying FAFO, and family-friendly show, so we won't tell you what that means for the kiddos, but I think the average person understands what that is, as Dr. Phil is even embedding himself in a lot of these larger deportation efforts, highlighting how there's a lot of really kind of sick, twisted individuals. One person that he talked to specifically was there for hurting small children. He now will be deported back to Thailand. And let's just be honest here, these aren't the best of individuals.
You know, what's funny is I saw a video, and there's a bunch of people who came here legally that are actually more in favor of this than we are, because they're like, hey, I did it right. I paid the fees. And they have this video out where ICE is on the other side of the door, and he's like, tell us who the best musician is in the world? And he's like, Taylor Swift. And he was like, pronounce Walmart. And it's like a pause and he goes, Walmart. And the door gets banged down. But so there's a lot of humor on social media. And I really did like that there's people that are self-disclosing, hey, I came here. My Biden brain's not working. Seeking asylum. And I came here and paid all the fees. I got my citizenship, took a test. And then people just came through and want to cry victim. And it's just the mental gymnastics there for those people must be pretty tough.
Absolutely, especially for individuals like Selena Gomez that filmed herself ugly crying about these mass deportations, which she is very sad about. This video, very indicative as the responses here are like, you really don't like murderers and people who hurt small children getting put away, don't you? Here's the clip.
Just wanted to say that I'm so sorry. All my people are getting attacked. The children. I don't understand. I'm so sorry. I wish I could do something, but I can't. I don't know what to do. I'll try everything, I promise.
Are you freaking kidding me?
Oh my gosh.
Women, am I right? I'm joking. But no, I'm serious.
My
Was she
10-year-old
acting there, or was
daughter
that real?
has to be exposed to that. Jesus.
She
So I'm
can't
gonna-
even cry. There are no frown marks. It's just like, ooh.
Well, she's engaged to that really well-known producer, Benny, and I will put money on the fact that her next single is going to be about these children. It's going to be like and then she's going to fundraise for their...
Yeah, but the children aren't being deported. The criminals, the people hurting children are
Yeah.
getting deported.
Right.
As we have George here on social media saying, I know my Latinas, and those definitely were paid tears. Yeah, I agree.
Right.
As I think she pulled another AOC at an empty parking lot
no.
here. As the memes here are just absolutely glorious. Shouts out to What I Meme to Say for creating this masterpiece here. As Sydney Watson said, I wish you were meaner here. Yes. Oh, look, it's celebrity opinions perfectly represented by this image there. And the responses here are just absolutely cooking her. It's clear as day. We're getting frontline reports. We're getting news crews there. I'm working on trying to embed with my local, immigration office here to see exactly what's going on the ground here in Miami, because Miami is also a huge hotbed of illegals as well. I want to see how this is going. I want to see on the front lines. And these government agencies are saying, yeah, guys, come along for the ride. You guys can film and see what we're actually doing here. And all the people that are filming, all the people that are documenting some really awful human beings that Selena Gomez is crying about.
Yeah, I didn't see one child. In the first week, we had, 1,500 very dangerous criminals arrested. I didn't see one child in those videos, and they were all very transparent and put out there for all of us to see. So what in the world is she talking about? These people are so deranged. I mean, like AOC and Selena, I look at them and I'm like, they're such ding-dongs. Does anybody even care what they have to say? I love it. Keep roasting them. But you know what I think? Keep talking, guys, because you're just showing the whole world how deranged the left is. It makes it harder and harder for them to even come back. I love it.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I mean, the left has always had a monopoly on being the party or the people that care about other people.
Right.
Like, it's not possible for the right to even care about other people. And it's complete nonsense. We're doing the right things. We're the ones that actually care about people, care about the U.S. citizens.
Right.
And the way they twist it and make it look like we're the enemy, we're the ones that don't care about people is just, and that's always been their ploy. And it's just really, like I said, my 10-year-old daughter has to watch that, right? And it's like, who's she going to choose? She going to choose, when she looks at the news and sees Trump saying, I'm going to get rid of all these innocent people, and she looks and watches Gomez crying, which side is she going to choose? And that's the real problem, because they continue to be able to convince especially young minds.
Yeah, there's a lot of emotional manipulation. There's no kind of appeal to logic. It's like, oh, no,
Right.
the children, shut up.
And some of those children were used as bait to get across the border.
Exactly.
But
Right.
let's
And
not
trafficked.
blame the people that brought them over.
Yeah.
Right.
Let's not blame the human traffickers that were aided and abetted by your tax dollars and all these kind of Catholic, quote, organizations that led to tremendous amounts of human suffering to be used as cannon fodder for the corporations out there that want cheap labor. Let's just be real here. Let's just be honest with what's really going on here. The megacorps want cheap labor. Donald Trump dealing with this in such a way shows us that the priorities have been set straight. He cares about the American people, and I think his pick for borders law was a brilliant pick, as Tom Homan had this to say specifically in response to this Selena Gomez video.
Don't know if you've had a chance to see a video that has been going viral over the past hour or so. We're still working to clear it and show it. In fact, the Hollywood celebrity who posted it has now deleted it, I think because probably she faced a lot of backlash for it, noting even the New York Times and Fox News polls show that a majority of American respondents are in favor of deportations of criminals and gang members. She posted a video sobbing. She was crying in it. She said, "All my people are getting attacked," with the picture of a Mexican flag. Again, she has now taken that down. But what do you say to those who are out there saying that these are everyday people, these are families that are being attacked and dragged out of their homes? How do you respond to that?
I don't think we arrested any families. We've arrested public safety threats and national security threats, bottom line. And look, President Trump won the election on this one issue, securing our border and saving lives. What happened on our southern border last 4 years is the biggest national security threat this country's seen, at least in my lifetime, because we got over 2 million known gotaways. We got a 600% increase in sex trafficking. We got a record number of terrorists crossing the border on the terrorist watch list. We have 250,000 Americans die from fentanyl coming across the open border. We're going to do this job, and we're going to enforce the laws of this country. If they don't like it, then go to Congress and change the law. We're going to do this operational apology. We're going to make our community safer. We're going to save. Once we lock that border on continuous operation, you're going to see fentanyl deaths decrease, illegal alien crime decrease, sex trafficking decrease. It's just all for the good of this nation, and we're going to keep going. No apologies. We're moving forward.
Absolutely. That's the type of energy we need here, as for so long the Republicans have been yellow bellies. They've been afraid. They've been capitulated. They were saying, "Oh no, we don't want to offend people. We don't want to hurt people. We got to walk on eggshells there in order not to cause emotional damage to all these deranged, crazy lunatics that are liberals." Now that's over with. There's no apologies. It's action. It's direct action that I think is absolutely incredible, especially when it comes to the larger conversations, when it comes to ending the IRS, as Donald Trump is hinting at this. There's another statement that he just made that we're going to be playing here in just a little bit. But before that, we should talk about getting rid of tax on tips, which would probably impact Super Chats and Monero Chats and potentially, whatever else we're working on as well here, as we have a number of these chat stuff. Let's read off some of them to pay tribute to all the people that are helping us stay free and independent.
Okay, we got a bunch of the Moneros. One from Sojourner saying people should have privacy, governments should have transparency.
Absolutely. And if you can't, just get a little closer to that mic, please.
We have Billy Bob Booth Master saying mother F the government.
I don't know if you want to do all that, but, each his own.
Anonymous says Luke begins to discover the freedom that XMR brings. Full chain Monero Chan proofs incoming.
All right.
Yeah, well, it's interesting to learn. We're going to get into that topic in a little bit.
We also got a private donation so it's private, doesn't say. So we have that benefit with Monero, and we have another one here from We Got 18 and Mountbatten saying thanks for all the good work, Doug.
Fantastic.
War Skeptic says didn't learn anything from 20 years in Afghanistan. New forever war. Yay.
It could be, especially on the southern border with the way that the situation is shaping up, as a lot of these kind of criminal organizations are far more capable than a lot of Americans expect them to be. And plus, they have a lot of their gang members all throughout the United States. So just how bad could this become? Pretty bad, especially with larger kind of conflicts that could unfold in what many people are describing as a larger kind of civil conflict here, especially if the situation gets completely out of control and if violence becomes the norm, which hopefully it doesn't. Hopefully it's stopped, and hopefully people get their ish straight and understand, hey, we shouldn't be aiding and abetting criminals. And there still are some leftist liberals and Democrats out there in blue cities that are saying, no, these criminals need to be protected. No, I don't think that's the case here. So we'll see how it unfolds. But when the situation unfolded like it did today on the southern border, I think we need to pay attention to it in order to make this as big of an issue as possible. Keep going.
At drunkdialme_. Trump should reverse Biden's January 4th approval to sell Ross Ulbricht's $6.5 billion in stolen property. He'd make an instant billionaire overnight who's been viciously persecuted by the same evil scum.
Okay, keep going.
And now we have...
It is a good point that he's making there. The fact that the U.S. government confiscated all of Ross's Bitcoin, his hard-earned Bitcoin. He was basically the first entrepreneur in Bitcoin, figured out how to make a product that people actually needed, make a service that people actually needed.
And people argue reduced harm through, of course, the verified process that he had,
and
where people were able to leave customer reviews rather than just using a completely dark market without any customer reviews or feedback on the substance.
And wherever you stand on that, you stand on that. But he created a platform at the end of the day that people use, and then they tried to completely hold him accountable for all crimes committed on it, and they took away all his Bitcoin.
Yeah, and I believe he had maybe like 150,000 Bitcoin, and I mean, it should be like the market value, what it is now. So I don't know who wants to do that math, but I posted about that as soon as he was pardoned. I was like, so is he going to get his assets back? But it wasn't like the full pardon. It's the full pardon, but it doesn't remove the record. So I don't know if that's going to be their argument. But man, why doesn't the government make a deal with him? I mean, I think he deserves all his assets back, but at least give him half, and then he can decide to do fun things that actually, like a charity or something that's like a real benefited organization. Because I feel like Ross would do that.
There's an argument to be made, and I'm not making this argument. Some people are saying that if you really want to hit back against a lot of these criminal black market organizations, you take away the black market for them and you allow it to be kind of controlled and regulated, but allow people to get whatever they want to get. And you kind of take away this larger incentive for these criminal gangs to be able to finance their operation that way. As we saw, marijuana legalization, whatever you might think about that. I don't use marijuana. I don't like marijuana, but marijuana legalization has had a huge negative effect against a lot of these criminal organizations that used to cultivate it, make it, and get a profit off of it through the black market. Now that it's been kind of softly legalized, even though there's issues surrounding that's why I'm not making this argument, it does take away the larger kind of coffers, the larger kind of money that these shadowy, dark organizations are getting that they wouldn't be getting if, of course, we had more kind of common sense drug policies. So
I think it's important to make the point here, too, that Ross used Bitcoin at the time because Bitcoin was literally the only thing that existed, and people thought it was digital cash. And Ross learned the hard way. It, in fact, is not digital cash. It's perfectly traceable. All transactions are recorded on a transparent ledger forever in perpetuity. And perhaps if Ross was running that off of something like Monero from the early days, which obviously didn't exist, his Bitcoin or his Monero would not have been tracked and traced and confiscated.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go, Steph. Let's finish off.
MySuperChat.com from Beijing Biden saying, man, I don't think the establishment is going to recover from the butt whipping they're getting. They've been exposed. What do you guys think?
Absolutely. A lot of people were kind of naysayers. A lot of people were kind of blackpilled saying, no, Trump's not going to follow up on any of his promises. He's following up on all of his promises and more, as we might potentially even have an official pardon of Roger Ver, which would be huge, which would be amazing.
Yeah, I have information on that, which I had to be careful about, but I was given access to a video that I know is going to be presented to Trump where a certain person had a team over there to Spain to interview and plead his case. So Trump is going to get direct private sent message from Roger to justify why he should be pardoned.
Nice. That's an important issue that we hope Donald Trump acts on. And the way he's been acting, especially the way that he called out Ross's prosecutors, calling them scum, huge. Let's finish off these chats and then we'll get into this IRS debate and the conversation about Bitcoin, Monero, and all this other stuff soon as well. Keep going.
Nikki Nada says, Luke, where is the Bitcoin Lightning donation QR and address? You got Chipcoin set up, but no Bitcoin zaps?
We could do that too. I don't know if you guys are okay with that or know about that. We'll talk about that larger debate, but I'm open to all of this stuff. As of course, we're kind of in a desperate situation, especially with what we've been facing with the IRS, which hasn't been fun, that I've been dealing with a month before the election. In about October, we got hit very heavily, and we'll get into some of my kind of thinking here. But to be quite
did that guy
honest,
just call Monero a shitcoin though? Come on, we don't need to get into that, but.
No. We could get into it, but Douglas was first here. He was I think Tatiana was like, we got to have Douglas on the show. Douglas was like, you should implement this. He was the first one to kind of come to me. He was like, you got to implement this, and I'm like, okay, cool, yeah. And the way that Donald Trump's doing this, I'm like, yeah, I'm open to all of this because this is the Wild West now. This is the frontier that has been opened up, and there's so much opportunities. I think we should be taking them, leading with them, and innovating with all of this stuff. And it's truly an exciting time to be alive. So I'm open to all ideas. I'm open to, of course, using the Lightning Network. I just don't know how. You were able to come here kind of before the show, show me how to open the wallet, show me how to integrate it with Streamlabs. You're able to see the donations in real time on screen, which is pretty cool.
And it's all happening on chain, on the Monero base layer, which is incredible. Yeah. Bitcoin wouldn't be possible to do that with Bitcoin.
And then the privacy aspect is another aspect that a lot of people want to utilize, but also it's kind of a double-edged sword, which we got to be careful of because that's another thing that kind of has me kind of a little freaked out.
Well,
because
it shouldn't, man. It shouldn't, because we got to normalize the use of cash and digital cash. It's always been perfectly acceptable, and we could get into this in society to use cash, and now it's taboo, and now they're making digital cash taboo.
That's a great point because my first opinion is that if someone stole from me, I want to be able to trace it. But you're right. If someone steals your cash, you can't track it. So thanks for calling out my own hypocrisy. No, you make a great point. That's a great argument. We've been doing it.
Okay, so we have Matt saying, Luke, what the hell's going on? I voted for someone this time and he is actually following through on his promises on day one. I always thought Orange Man was controlled pop, but holy smokes.
I know, Matt, it's pretty crazy. It's pretty wild. As you know, we've been telling you from all along, hey, this is the real deal here. From all of our insights, from all of our insiders, from all the people that we talked to and hang out with, like we saw everything kind of bottom up here. And we were telling everyone, guys, this is legit. This is different. This is something that we have never ever seen before. And people were saying, Luke, you're a sellout. Luke, how dare you? How dare you become a Republican? You statist, you dirty. And I'm like, do you want Ross free? Do you want no tax on tips? Do you want to get rid of the income tax? Yeah. Do you want that? I want that. And it's something that I think is revolutionary. It's something that we haven't ever seen before. And I think everything, all the slack that I've been getting, all the crap, Kristen, you've been getting it too. And you know, we had a lot of people on the show being like, you're wrong. He's not going to do this. And he's doing it. And support to Donald Trump. Thank you, Donald Trump, for doing it. And truly, this is something that we usually never ever see. Politicians always run. They always promise us a bill of goods. They never deliver. Trump's delivering, and that's something that is unique. That's something that is awesome, and he's leading the way, whether you like it or not. Even with Trump coin, even with Melania coin, we'll get into that in a little bit. But
makes me think, like, did he go on one of Ron Paul's bike rides, like alongside of him, and he kind of told him, like, hey, you want to really keep the libertarians looking to the right.
He got attacked by the U.S. government. They weaponized it. They attacked him, and he experienced that. And he's on a mission to destroy them.
That's what's so great about this. The lawfare. It just.
Yeah.
Well, the lawfare was against the libertarians, the anarchist types first, and then they came after Donald Trump. And Donald Trump's like, okay, I could work with these guys because these guys are in the same bed I'm in.
His only out was winning the presidency. Yeah, that was his only play.
Well, he would have been in jail. They would have imprisoned him, or worse, if he lost this last election. So I think he realized the larger stakes here, and he's like, hey, these guys are my friends here. Right. They went through the same thing I did, but they had no one backing them or helping them out or being there for him. Now I'm in a position of power to actually help these guys out and actually get rid of the bureaucracy and the regulations and the rules and the amount of just stupid policies that have stopped innovation, stopped growth, and stopped investment in America. As you know, the libertarians and the anarchists and all the alternative independent media people, it's like we were kind of fortune tellers saying, hey guys, this is the way. This is the way we got to move forward in order to free America and make America great again. And almost everything that Dr. Ron Paul has been prophesizing, almost everything that the alternative independent media has been talking about is now finally being implemented. And this is huge. And this is amazing.
And I just want to make it clear, too, like, I'm not gaga for Trump all the time. I wasn't 100% Trumper from the get-go. I ran for Congress in 2020 as a Republican. I made it clear, I'm obviously voting for Trump, but I had the things that I didn't like about him, Operation Warp Speed, what he did with the vaccines, and I have my reservations now, seeing what he might do with AI and Palantir that's sitting in the White House. But all that being said, given what we've seen in the first week, I'm 100% behind him right now.
Absolutely.
As long as he continues to act the way he's acting, and right now all signs point towards. Freedom and liberty.
Well, and think about it. He's a businessman. He's a New York businessman.
Yeah.
Right? No nonsense.
His
Not
interests
a
just
politician.
happen to align right now with maximizing liberty in the United States.
Right. And I think it's really interesting because had he not had the election stolen from him in 2020, none of this would be happening because we did have a Republican-controlled House and Senate, and yet what did he get done? Half of them were fighting against him. And so now, for the first time, they are united. I mean, this is historic. This is really historic because the exposure has been allowed to happen because he didn't get in 2020. So now he can go and do so much more because he has effectively united the Republican Party and brought in a bunch of libertarians into his cabinet. And now it's like we know exactly what happened. We're wiser to it, and everybody is united. And so it's happening much faster. And things he could never have gotten accomplished in his second term then are going to be accomplished, which is going to solidify America even more and make us even stronger.
Yep. Steph, finish off, please.
Okay, so we have a few more Moneros. We got a private one for $5. Thank you so much. Anonymous sends $2 saying, I do believe that 2025 is going to be a wild year.
Keep going.
We have a YouTube from EG saying, support your local drug dealers.
I don't know about that.
You mean Big Pharma?
You're not responsible for the messages being sent to you. Obviously,
yeah, but
right?
we're still influential, and the best policy is not to be dependent on anything, and to be a free, autonomous human being that doesn't need anything. As addiction is a real issue, and a lot of people in America need help with it. And sadly, there's a lot of people kind of normalizing a lot of escapism, a lot of things that aren't the best for human beings, especially when it comes to things like gambling and other kind of substances. So I would just always strictly argue, hey, try to be healthy, try to be happy. And that today is the modern act of resistance, is you being happy and healthy. Keep going.
Yeah, I got two more. I got one from Bald Head Dim Fool coming from mysuperchat.com saying, finally, missed the live show, been having withdrawals, no listening to the show. For the border, the military should just bomb it and the problem is solved.
Well, I don't know about that, bald head info. I don't know if we should just bomb
Drone war.
everything, personally, but you're entitled to your opinion. Keep going.
And we have Clint Battered Pastrami from a Monero, and it says Luke should consider selling his merch on XMR Bazaar.
All right.
Yeah, sure. We have a lot of great products available on WeAreChange.shop. One of the great products that we will be talking about, maybe doing that too, is of course Land of Biltong. It's one of our kind of long-standing sponsors. I don't really work with a lot of people, but I really like working with Anton and landofbiltong.com. It's a great product. It's a great service. BiltongUSA.com, promo code WRC, and it's actually really good stuff that I would strongly recommend you check out, especially if you're looking into a carnivore diet. It's the perfect family-friendly snack, low in carbs, packed with protein. It's the ultimate health snack, making Biltong a great source of iron and also serves as a source of other essential nutrients, including magnesium, potassium, and B vitamins, fueling exceptional gains in all aspects of life, whether you're following a carnivore, keto, or high-protein diet. Biltong is the perfect addition to keep you on track. Use code WRC10 for purchases. Of course, we've been giving it to everyone. We just gave some to Douglas. We gave some
Chewing
to,
on it right now, man. That is good.
Yeah, I think you got the
Yeah.
spicy one.
Oh,
You got
the spicy
You got the
one's
Wagyu
good.
there. We're like running
Yeah.
out, Anton. We've been giving it out to everybody. We gave out a lot to Paul from the Edge wallet when he was here, and he loved it. He was so happy he got it because he's also very conscious of his diet. If you're conscious of your diet, you don't want any kind of bull crap and nonsense out there. Check out BiltongUSA.com. We'll talk to those guys about potentially also selling their products with XRP. I think this is an exciting technology that I want to implement more.
XMR.
XMR.
Don't confuse us with Ripple.
Oh no, that's the opposite. The opposite.
It's the complete opposite. Yeah, but
Ripple's
we
the
gotta
complete
get-
opposite of what you guys are doing.
If we get this guy on XMRbazaar.com, we got to talk about it too, because it's another great, like XMR chat, purely Monero based. It's a Monero based marketplace. It's like Craigslist, but with Monero. And so all the transactions are Monero based. The vendor receives 100% of the Monero. There's no fees. There's no fees to post a listing, and there's just no fees taken on the transaction. It's all completely peer to peer, which is super cool.
Man,
Yeah.
you hit me with that Craigslist. It made me want to go check my MySpace.
No, but it's
Am I the
definitely-
only guy still using Craigslist?
I guess so.
Yeah, everyone's on like Facebook Marketplace
With
that
that
tracks
AOL
all of their
dial-up,
details
huh?
and stuff. Yeah, but
But
again,
Craigslist, no, it's funny you say that though, because Craigslist was like old school internet and done in a way
Oh,
that
yeah,
was
you could buy a
privacy
used
preserving.
mattress, yeah.
So XMR Bazaar is there's a lot to be said for that, right? Facebook Marketplace really is, you're not preserving your privacy in any way.
not at all. They're
Yeah.
selling all your data and all your information. Biltong USA, family-friendly snack, family-owned business, local business. They're also dealing with the state going after them and their larger issues. They have to move now. They're going through a lot of stuff. And by supporting them, you not only support yourself with a proper diet, you're also supporting us as an independent media organization. Really great stuff, really tasty stuff that we eat here. And I think we're almost all out here. And we appreciate Anton sending us all the Biltong. Really great stuff, really healthy stuff. And it'll be cool to see maybe some larger kind of crypto Bitcoin integration with Anton as well. I'll talk to him after the show, since I think this is the way, especially when it comes to the larger kind of economic pressures that a lot of people are expecting with the dollar. I really do believe there's going to be a lot of vast changes to our economy, and then kind of integrating a lot of these new changes in a way where we're on top of them is definitely the way to go, especially with Donald Trump now saying, IRS agents, you know what? They're no longer going to be terrorizing small families and businesses. They're going to the border to protect us from the illegal invasion. As Donald Trump also, just a couple of moments ago, hinted at ending the federal income tax. Yes, you heard that correctly. Please,
Yes.
Lord
do it.
Jesus,
Yes.
Almighty,
Stop it.
please.
Oh.
Now
fulfill
he's just
my
taunting
dreams.
us. Now
Oh
he's
my
just,
gosh.
Please. I mean, he talked about this when he was campaigning.
Yeah.
He was like, "Hey,
Yes.
we'll do import tariffs, and we'll just get rid of the income tax," which would be absolutely incredible, because this would spark off larger innovation, larger manufacturing, larger American businesses that no longer have to pay an extortion fee just to exist as an entity or a corporation. So this is what Donald Trump just said a couple of moments ago, which I thought was huge.
America is going to be very rich again, and it's going to happen very quickly. It's time for the United States to return to the system that made us richer and more powerful than ever before. Do you know the United States in 1870 to 1913, all tariffs, and that was the richest period in the history of the United States, relatively speaking. In other words,
You know why? Because people were able to keep their money. People weren't extorted and didn't have to pay the government money. They were able to keep their own money and invest it. Now, if we're able to keep 30% of our own money, imagine how many more people we could hire. Imagine how much more we could do if we don't have to worry about these arbitrary bills. We got a crazy
And
bill that came
newsflash,
out of nowhere.
we had roads.
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely. Yeah. Let's continue on with Donald Trump.
it's relatively, and they set up the Great Tariff Commission of 1887, and this commission had one function: what to do with all the money that we took in. It was so enormous that they had no idea. It was a blue ribbon committee. It was set up 1887, and what to do with all of the money that we had. And again, Teddy Roosevelt was a beneficiary, because when McKinley was killed, he took over this vast sum of money, and he did all of those national parks and all of the other things. And I'm not knocking him, but he was given a vast amount of money, and that was all made through tariffs. We had no income tax. The income tax came in 1913. As I said in my speech last week, instead of taxing our citizens to enrich foreign nations, we should be tariffing and taxing foreign nations to enrich our citizens. Does that make sense, right?
Yes, it absolutely does make sense, and it's incredible news that I am super excited about. And just imagine you don't have to deal with the IRS anymore, which to me has been absolutely attacking people. It's been a politicized institution under Barack Obama's administration. It clearly went after political opponents. It's an institution that is absolutely outdated. It is extremely difficult to deal with from my own personal experiences.
It's a means of control, too, right? It's not even just about the money they're taking from you. It's the process they put you through and always keep a gun at your head saying you may or may not be guilty for something. You don't even know if you're doing the right things. You're saying, all right, here's my tax. They never even tell you how much you actually owe, right?
Yep.
It's like, and you're just assumed kind of to be guilty at all times, and they can audit you at any moment in time. And come on, let's face the facts.
Right.
You could find something on anybody if you audit them deeply enough, and it just makes everybody basically, at their will, right? Puts them at their will.
And the whole, I don't think a lot of people understand, maybe a lot of people watching this show understand, but this agency is not even constitutional. It was developed and came about as a war relief effort, and it was supposed to be then, done and dissolved after the war. Yeah, right. So here we are now, and, this agency is a regulatory agency that is being weaponized against the people of the United States of America. I have been audited since I became a government whistleblower every year. Every year.
Crazy.
Weaponization. Look what Luke's dealing with right now.
Right.
And this is one of the
Nothing
things.
to do with the money. They just want to slow you down.
Yeah, and this is one of the things that Kristen and I have been really calling for is the dissolution and the total abolishment of some of these regulatory agencies that are being captured and weaponized against the American people and our businesses. And it's absolutely criminal, and it has to stop. And I love that Trump is leaning into this.
Oh, well, I just sent Luke a 10-second video. Taxation as theft was in my wedding vows. and I've been explaining to people that, because PorkFest, I'll censor myself, but it says who will build the roads? It's I'll build the effing roads. People think we didn't exist. Right. And then if anyone's watched the film From Freedom to Fascism, although I'm against taxation, I do think it's pay to play, but we are taxed a million other ways. We can still fund essential services and infrastructure. And when you look at the excessive government spending, I think it really pulls in the rain, and maybe we'll stop policing the world. I think it doesn't just put more money in the pockets that gets interjected back into the market, but I think that it also shows people, oh my gosh, we could have thrived without extorting half of our income. It's going to wake up, everyone's going to be a bunch of little libertarians.
And it's going to force naturally the downsizing of the U.S. government because so many federal employees are going to be let go.
Right.
And that's a great thing. So, go
It's
Trump.
going to give people the freedom to transact peer-to-peer
Exactly.
without having to give their pound of flesh or think about...
Or to want to work, or to want to create businesses and want to create new kind of initiatives here domestically within the United States, saying, you know what, now when I actually work, I am able to keep all the money that I make. Are you kidding me? I want to work more. I want to work harder. Because a lot of people are stuck in many jobs and many institutions being why should I work harder? Because I'm going to be in a different tax bracket. I'm going to be taxed that much more if I work that much harder. That doesn't make any sense to me. And it's not a kind of patriotic system. It's not a system that breeds capitalism. It's a communistic larger system that is outdated and mainly meant to keep people down. It's a form of control. And truly, if we're able to move away from this larger system, if Donald Trump does this, I would have to say best president ever that has existed.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. 100%.
But that happened to me. Just real quick, I'll tell you, I worked someplace in the private sector, being a government employee a long time. We didn't get bonuses, and I kept getting such good bonuses every year. I actually said, I don't want it, because it actually put me in such a higher tax bracket. I would have made less money.
Yeah. Do you want to work overtime and then get taxed double? No, the hell I don't. So why would I? So no, you're absolutely right. Sorry, I cut you off.
Oh, it's okay.
Yeah. Wait, keep going.
Oh, I was just going to say that there's a lot of people. I mean, this was only I'll just be transparent. I was making $150,000, and I kept getting $30,000 bonuses, and I was heavily taxed in the state of Illinois. So it was imagine people that are even higher. And my oldest daughter's 20, and she's a nanny, and she's making good money, and she's now getting it. She's adulting and going, oh, what is FICA? What is all this crap? And she's like, Social Security is not even going to be there when I need it. So sometimes it needs to hit people themselves from them to fully understand. Taxation is theft wasn't just a bumper sticker,
Is it actually going to happen, though? I mean, that sounds crazy. And if it does happen, does it then just go back 4 years later? And that obviously...
Well, hopefully we have 12 more years.
12 more years, whatever it may be. But I just want to
Right.
get the point that I just want to make is we can't rely on governments to do what we want them to do. What Trump is in office, things seem rosy right now, but it's at some point things are going to swing back. Unfortunately, that's why we have to opt out, use digital cash among each other, don't request permission. Live off of that and make it more difficult for them to come and seize their pound of flesh.
Donald Trump is not the kind of guy to dangle the carrot out in front of you.
Just really quick, there's a
away,
power cable somewhere on one of the audio cables. So just move around the audio cable, and then it's gone now, so it's totally fine. So it's one of you guys. Yeah, so just be a little bit careful. Keep going, Tammy.
No, I was just going to say, what has he ever not delivered on that he's promised he's going to do? When he says he's going to do something, it's because he's very serious about doing it, and he does follow through on those things. So I mean, I'm excited about it. I just think the things that he's promising to do are going to radically change and secure this nation, not just from a physical security standpoint, but economically, making a free market come back. I mean, how exciting.
Yes. No, it's something that, we have always kind of dreamed about, especially as libertarians, especially as kind of people who don't believe in the system, to see the system just finally step out of your way, to have a free path towards, you're a businessman. You could actually do stuff here. You could actually hire people. You could actually work and be able to keep your own money. That right there is the dream. Because, I worked my butt off. The IRS kind of came into my life, and they're like, you're going to owe us like $80,000 in fees and penalties. I'm like, why? What the hell happened here? I dotted all my I's. I crossed all my T's. I did everything I was supposed to do. No. Okay, let me get on the phone. Let me try to understand what's going on here. Let me try to get a lawyer. And then there's a whole bunch of lawyer scams going on, too. I did a whole deep dive in this. Maybe I should do a larger kind of investigative piece about how this whole entire industry works, which is just mind-boggling and surprising. But every time I had an IRS agent on the phone trying to figure out what's going on here, let's figure this out, let's try to end this nightmare, let's stop the bleeding, let's stop these huge interest rates, let's stop these huge penalties, let's try to figure out some kind of larger solution here. Boom! They just hung up on me, which was just infuriating to deal with and very difficult to deal with. But now we, of course, have a lot of changes, especially with the rules and regulations surrounding crypto and Bitcoin. I think Donald Trump, whether you like it or not, starting his own meme coin, even with his wife, there might even be more meme coins down the line. I know a lot of people automatically are like, okay, we don't need that many meme coins. Okay, this is a little bit too much here. But to me, it signaled that he's willing to go out there, put his name out there, but also put his butt out there to show, hey, guys, this is safe territory. You guys could mess around with this stuff, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But if they're going to go after anyone, it's going to be me. Here's me taking the first step to showing people, you could do this, guys. And I've been, offered to start my own meme coin, not just within the last few weeks or months. We're talking about years and years ago. We're talking about back in the days of Max Coin and Tatiana Coin and all these other people having their own coins. And now, of course, there's Monero, which you are very fond of, obviously, and you're working very closely with. Why is Monero something that you like more than Bitcoin? Because obviously there's already another Bitcoin.
more than Trump coin. Why do I like it more than?
Yeah.
I mean, I like Monero, like I was saying at the outset, more than Bitcoin because I think it actually works as untraceable digital cash and unstoppable digital cash. I think that was the original intent with Bitcoin, but we see that it is flawed. It has a transparent ledger. Chain analysis companies take advantage of that in cahoots with governments. And there's a bunch of other technical differences between Monero and Bitcoin that ultimately make Monero not only private and fungible. That's a key word, right? Like our money needs to be fungible. Every dollar, if I took out a $10 bill right now, it's not going to be any different than a $10 bill that you take out of your pocket. You're not going to look at it and be like, oh, was this $10 bill previously used to buy drugs in the dark market? I can't accept that. Money doesn't work. It doesn't flow as intended if it's not fungible. And so we need the digital form of that to be perfectly fungible. And Monero is achieving that better than any other crypto. It has the does have the network effect for that purpose. People that need digital cash, whether you agree with the dark market or not, right now most people are using Monero on the dark market because it functions for that purpose. But beyond it being fungible and private, and I think what's not talked about enough is the fact that it has these other aspects to it that make it resistant to being co-opted by governments or corporations. It's not ASIC mined. Bitcoin is ASIC mined. I could get into all those things, but fundamentally, to answer your question, it's because I think it's the best form of digital cash we have, and it's built where it can't be co-opted. And I believe Bitcoin has been co-opted.
So Bitcoin works on like a public ledger, so everyone kind of sees every transaction going in and out. How does Monero work, and what's the larger kind of privacy settings that are implemented there that are different than Bitcoin? And are there any threats against it to be cracked or figured out in a way where we have someone like Jeff Bezos who's working on quantum computing, who's trying to, of course, deal with a lot of the larger encryption that a lot of people use for secure communications? Because there's people that are out there right now that are saying nothing's really private anymore. They kind of broken the code and they have all the tech to know everything.
Great questions. So it's open source, and Monero is constantly evolving. It sees this as a constant battle and it's constantly upgrading its tech to be as private and fungible as possible. Is the first important thing to say and realize. And it's very honest and cognizant of the fact that it is a constant battle and that its tech is never perfect at any point in time, that it constantly, essentially needs updating. Whereas Bitcoin has kind of chosen the other path of not even trying to be private and fungible. But basically the technologies that it uses is it obfuscates the sender, it obfuscates the receiver, and it obfuscates the amounts. And it uses 3 different technologies to do that. So to obfuscate the sender, it uses something called ring signatures. So you can't see who the actual sender of the transaction is. You don't know if it's one out of 16 different signers. You can't determine who the true sender is. It uses something called confidential transactions, which was actually invented by Bitcoiners, discussed by Satoshi in the early days. It implemented that before Bitcoin, and Bitcoin never implemented it. It had the chance to, but they decided not to. And then it uses something called its stealth addresses, which obfuscates the receiver. So there's actually no address to even go look up. When you use a Monero address and you receive Monero, I'm sending it to an address that's actually not even viewable on the blockchain. You can't even go and find it. So the end result is sender's obfuscated, mount is obfuscated, and receiver is obfuscated. And it creates a form of digital cash where you can't associate a history with any Bitcoin transactions or surveil it in any way. Now, in terms of shortcomings, the one shortcoming arguably that Monero has is in the ring signature component. And that's what it's been criticized for in the past. And Monero has always been very open about that tech and realizing, okay, this was the best thing we had at the time. And we're going to attempt to solve it in the future. When I say attempt to solve it, there's one very specific attack you can do if you have large enough resources. If you're like a state actor and you want to pinpoint attack somebody, you can get data from two different various exchanges that this user may be using and make correlations and probabilistically guess who the real sender is. So only that one component. The other 2 components, there's no attacks to be known of, confidential transactions and stealth addresses. And that one attack is now going away completely because Monero is implementing what's called full chain membership proofs, where now that aspect will be just as strong as the other 2 and arguably making it, by far the most untraceable crypto. Already is, but even better.
Yeah, I know a lot of people are, very conspiracy minded. So a lot of people are like, what if this is a honey trap? Is there any way to ensure that it's not? I mean, that's a kind of impossible question to answer.
There is, and it's the fact that it's open source technology, right? So the NSA might be making commits to the Monero code base, but you also have people who maybe previously worked at the NSA and wants to take them out. They can also make commits and check out the Monero code base. And that's a very important differentiator between Monero and any other project that may come out and be like, oh, we're more private. a big part of the value of Monero is that it's been around for so long and that it's like the third most developed crypto. So the smartest minds in the space, the crypto anarchists, the cypherpunks, the people that care most about creating digital cash are looking at Monero's code base all the time, working on it and making sure that it hasn't been,
Well, I've been
corrupted.
staring at your John McAfee Monero sticker.
Yes, I want to give this to you guys.
That's so funny. Yeah, I don't know. Everyone see his account got opened back
that's
up?
the guy on the shop.
Yeah, John McAfee. We interviewed him when he was, still out there.
I had him on back in the day too.
Yeah, you could see
he loved Monero.
You could see the interview we did with John McAfee
Yeah.
here on this particular YouTube channel. YouTube actually hasn't taken that one down. They've taken other videos down that I've did previously beforehand. But this is really something interesting. What do you think of Donald Trump's kind of moves here? Because he didn't just launch a meme coin. He's also talking about getting rid of capital gains. He's talking about deregulating the space. What do you think of his moves, and where do you think he should go with what he's doing right now?
I think the ultimate litmus test is going to be where he stands on something like Monero. I've said this. This is why I ran for Congress in 2020. I saw where the puck was headed. Politicians were okay with Bitcoin. We were seeing essentially Bitcoin get prosecuted in Congress, right? In the early, 2015, 2016, 2017. And they'd be asking about this technology. And it always ended with, well, can't this be used to commit crime? It could be used to fund terrorism. It could be used for bad things. And the response always was, don't worry, Congressman, this is actually much more traceable than cash. So we'll actually be able to catch more bad actors. And that always made me cringe, right? Because that's a flaw to Bitcoin. And the argument to be made at that point isn't, oh, don't worry, it's actually traceable. The argument to be made at that point is digital cash is something that we need in a free and open society. It aligns with the ideals of the US government. It's free speech money. And as we transition into the digital age, we're going to need a utility that provides what cash provides in the physical world. We're going to need that
Currency.
for the digital world. Otherwise, we won't be able to freely act. We won't be able to buy what we want to buy. Right. They'll be able to prevent us from, buying the amount of meat that we may, I mean, you can imagine we won't be able to make donations to the political cause we believe in. So cash for the internet is absolutely essential. And we'll see if Trump actually believes in those ideals. I haven't heard too many people speak those things. I've heard RFK Jr. talk very positively about cash as a utility, and I would expect him to understand that we need a digital form of that. But we'll see what Trump does. I love everything he's done so far, and his latest executive order, he did allude to it. He basically said in that executive order that people have the right to transact peer-to-peer, and that open public ledgers, not public in the sense that people could see everything, but public in the sense that it's a utility not owned by any corporation, that everybody should have access to those. So really good step in the right direction. But the question is, at some point, do they try to, pass some legislation saying, everything's okay except something like Monero?
Yeah, that remains to be seen. I think his kids have really opened his eyes to the importance of digital currency. And those of us who are freedom-minded, of course, really understand with technology, it's going to happen. It needs to happen. We need it to happen. But it also needs to be understood, I think, by a lot of people who are scared about it, that it is a currency. Like, explain that a little bit, because there's a lot of people watching that I know, and people that, they understand technology, but they are completely lost with the understanding of the digital currency and how this is actually a currency, and they're scared of it. And why, and I tell people, you don't need to be scared of it. It's right.
They're
like
scared because they want to know why it has value in the first place. I think is where a lot of that fear comes from.
Yes, exactly.
And that's where you got to take them down. All right, well, do you like gold? And like, oh yeah, we love gold. All right, why does gold have value?
Right.
Because people value it. It's scarce, right? So that's why Bitcoin has value. That's why Monero has value, but in digital form.
Right, exactly.
Quote unquote digital gold.
Try to move those cables around. There's something wrong with those cables. I apologize. Something that's interfering with it. But RFK's appointment hearings are coming up this week, so it's going to be a big uphill battle that already a lot of shadowy secret organizations are getting involved in trying to stop him from being able to get appointed. Mike Pence, Bill Gates, and many other kind of larger people who hate freedom and personal responsibility are pulling out all the stops, along probably with Big Pharma and a lot of very big predatory industries out there are pulling out all the stops, all the money, trying to, of course, make sure that he does not get appointed as the new HHS head. Kash Patel also is on the block. So is Tulsi Gabbard. These are going to be very big appointments for Donald Trump that hopefully get confirmed. But from all the kind of things that we're seeing, it's going to be difficult for them to do this. I don't know what you guys are saying.
Well, you know, what I think is hard is as you're talking, I'm just thinking to myself, like, how can I rank them as the most important to get confirmed? And I think they're all equally important.
Yeah.
And that just shows how important it is. And, I mean, Tulsi, first of all, I mean, when she started supporting Trump, you know, we've known her. People are like, oh, she's a former Democrat and she's part of the World Economic Forum. I'm like, she's actually been a low-key libertarian independent her whole life, and Ron Paul adores her. So I'm glad that people that were hesitant on the right about Tulsi need to understand she's actually more closer to spreading freedom and understanding the Constitution. So, I'm just curious, you know, what is going to happen, what deals are going to have to be made, because I mean, I don't care. And people have questioned, does this violate some sort of campaign finance thing? But Musk is like, I will primary your ass if you don't support these. So, I mean, I'm for it. There's so many people.
Yeah, Charlie Kirk also got involved when we were speaking to him on the Timcast show that we did at AmFest. He said specifically, if they stand in the way, we are going to primary all of them. And that's the type of pressure we need. We need all of the people here to stand up against these shadowy groups and dark money organizations and say, hey, guys, no, this is who we want to see in the larger positions of power. I would argue that RFK Jr., I think, is the most important one. Next to him, Kash Patel, and then, of course, Tulsi Gabbard. And I only say that because I know the larger kind of gravitas. I would even potentially argue Kash is a little bit more important since, being on top of the FBI and being able to unwind everything that they have done would be so critically important. But when it comes to the larger priorities of health overall, I think it's fair to say that a lot of us have been lied to. A lot of us have been screwed over. A lot of us have been poisoned by this system. And with the larger fertility crisis, with the larger population crash, I think RFK is the most important one. And then unwinding the legal lawfare. So far, Trump's foreign policy, not perfect. There's a couple things we could criticize there. But still, we need Tulsi in there very importantly. But Donald Trump is focusing just on the United States. And truly, with the maneuvers that he's making, trying to set up a peace deal in Ukraine right now, these are the right moves to make. So I'm pretty sure he's making those moves. The most that I'm kind of worried about is this larger health perspective, which Trump hasn't been the best on. But having RFK Jr. in there would absolutely be the perfect piece to have next to him to help him decide a lot of these very important policies. So we hope. We pray that these people get in there. We hope and we pray Roger Ver gets pardoned. We hope and we pray that freedom prevails and the right people are going to be in there to make the right decisions for all of us. So,
absolutely. And I think these, like I said earlier, that one of the things Donald Trump has been successful at doing is uniting the party in a way that it has never been united before. And I think these people understand if they vote against these appointees, it is political suicide, because the people have given a clear mandate of what they want. And these America First policies and appointees, most of them have been saying, we're behind it, we're behind his nominations. So I do think they will get nominated, but I also know there's a lot of money behind, like you said, Luke, trying to prevent these nominations.
No, absolutely. There also was a crazy situation that unfolded today with DeepSeek. I don't know if you guys saw that, but this made the price of Bitcoin and crypto go down, as of course a lot of it is kind of tied into the NASDAQ, as the prices there went down dramatically as well, as Donald Trump had some very interesting comments about this. And it would be interesting to get your comments here too, Douglas, specifically when it comes to artificial intelligence that allegedly the Chinese built in a way cheaper, more proficient fashion that is allegedly 50 times more powerful than ChatGPT, as a lot of people online are saying, well, when it comes to this larger AI race, a lot of American people don't really care, since a lot of the AI in America has been kind of hijacked by the woke mind virus and is literally arguing for the Armageddon and destruction of all human beings in order not to misgender a specific person. Here are the comments from Donald Trump just a couple moments ago about this that I found very interesting and could also be the reason why he started the Stargate project.
This is very unusual when you hear a deep seek, when you hear somebody come up with something. We always have the ideas. We're always first. So I would say that's a positive. That could be very much a positive development. So instead of spending billions and billions, you'll spend less and you'll come up with, hopefully, the same solution under the Trump administration.
So it looks like Trump's not really too worried about it. Saying,
He's pro competition, right? He's seeing a new technology, and his take is, all right, now we have to adopt it and make our own version of that. I'm sure is what he's thinking, and let the best tech win is obviously what we need. But it is going to get a little scary with open. We need a truly open source AI, right? Truly open source that's accessible by all, and that can, once again, be audited, right? So that we know what the algos are. We don't need an AI. We can't afford to have an AI where the algo is controlled by one centralized entity. We need to be open source and ideally accessible by paying Monero so you can anonymously use it. I know that sounds ridiculous, but that is something we're going to need in the future, right? You don't want to be going into this AI system where it's now, it knows everything you think, your deepest thoughts as you speak to it. You want to be able to interact with that thing anonymously.
I asked mine to tell me about myself, and it was insanely accurate.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Which one, ChatGPT or this new Chinese one?
No, I asked ChatGPT. So if you're saying it's 50 times better, it might, I can't even imagine. But I mean, it wasn't even biased. It said what I do, what I've known for, my credentials. I was like, oh my gosh. So
Made
I
you
guess,
sound like a dang hero.
I know. Well, I can sharpen a pencil, Tammy.
Well, this reminds me of the old, the arms race of the past, decades past. It's like the technology, the AI race, right? Mm-hmm. We'll see.
Steph, you're big into the AI. What are you seeing from? Are you on DeepSeek yet?
I literally just looked it up, and I'm excited to find out more. But I don't know. OpenAI and ChatGPT works really well. I do some crazy prompts on there, and
I get recipes off there.
Yeah, I make a bunch of recipes off there too, because if you have certain ingredients, it can tell you what you can make with what you've got instead of having to search for something.
And if anyone looks up recipes on the internet, it's someone's whole life story before they actually get to the recipe. I don't care about how you grew up. How do you make these damn potatoes? So ChatGPT gives you your result in seconds.
Are you worried about artificial intelligence and what many people call this kind of potential larger threat against humanity? Because you work in this kind of tech sector. What do you see with the latest developments? And are you concerned, like a lot of other people who are paying attention to it are?
My concern, and it's why I'm so passionate about Monero, is that we're slipping into a technocratic dystopia, right? And an AI controlled by the state is not going to help our cause in avoiding it. It's what's going to lock us into it. So we need competing open source technologies that aren't controlled by any corporation or government that will allow us to experience these tools without being locked into a dystopia. So yeah, 100% concerned. And that's my concern with Trump too. I think that's the litmus test too. Like we're saying Palantir and these other technologies that are basically in the White House. And is Trump just going to kind of go along with them and not really see what this can turn into? Because that's the problem too. The idea is a little abstract. I don't know. You guys might even be rolling your eyes here as I'm saying we're slipping into a technocratic
you could
dystopia.
Be. I can't see your eyes.
We could be.
When I talk to a lot of people, they just kind of well, yeah, whatever, Doug. I'm able to find my recipe super quick with it. It's working for me. People can't really see behind past the second
Down
step.
the road.
No, I
And
mean,
the problem
it's
is
gathering all the information.
Right.
That's for sure. And
And-
you can even look through the memories, and then you can even delete the memories.
Yeah.
Which do they really get deleted? I don't know.
And the problem is there's no escape. Once we kind of pass that the event horizon, if you will, there's like no coming back out of it.
Right.
I
Where
have
are we gonna
honestly
go from
wondered.
We're all locked in. It knows everything about everybody. It's able to perfectly influence society in whatever direction it wants to influence it. And then how do you get out? We've always been able to get out. There's always been a way, right? The people could get together. They could kill the king they don't like. Good
Right.
luck killing the king that has this ultimate technocratic power over you and has resources to technologies that you don't have resources to, essentially.
Well, I have always wondered. I mean, has anyone heard of people like having a relationship with AI?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
That was at the conference at Counterparty.
Yeah.
Somebody gave a presentation
That's
on
going to
that.
be my. I'm going to be doing a deep dive video
Oh, I
on
thought
it.
you were going to start a relationship.
I am. That's going to be
That's
the
his
video.
next
It's
thing.
going to be on the second YouTube channel. A lot of people are like, "What are you guys doing? We're figuring things out." But I think I'm going to go back to my old form of journalism and do more on the ground stuff, including more kind of experience interactive stuff. So we're going to be doing stuff like that very soon in order to do kind of a warning message to humanity about how we could all be absolutely eliminated because of too much snoo stew robotically, digitally, that could just destroy the world many times over.
Yeah, and that's the scary thing because nobody really knows where this is going to go. We have no way of knowing. And how do you control it? That's the scary thing. And I think if you do understand it and you look at it from that 30,000 foot view, not just, right, past the end of your nose, it should make us all very concerned.
That's what I do. I think the solution is making like true open source versions of it that people can run their own instances, obviously in ways that are user friendly, but where you're interacting with AI and it's not going into some centralized corporate database that's
right.
like can.
I
basically
like
put all
that,
the
but I
dust-
want to see something that's going to have computing power just as good as
Well, that's the
ChatGPT.
problem, right? That's the problem, right? So you're up against that, and there's just going to have to be, just like we're seeing breakthroughs in this, we'll see breakthroughs in decentralized open source, pure open source versions. I think.
Have you guys heard of Venice as the one that's supposed to be like uncensored or uncensored private
No.
AI?
don't know
I have
that
not.
one.
No, I have not at all. But this is the argument that a lot of people are making, saying, "Hey, if we don't do it, the Chinese are going to do it, and the Chinese are going to implement their social credit score system with it." As
Right.
already people are showing screenshots saying, "Hey, can you give me a photo of that one, the famous guy with the grocery bags in front of that tank? Can you give me an image of that?" And the Chinese AI is like, "Nope." We can't do that. There's also talks about them talking about who the world leaders that took the most amount of lives in recorded human history, and obviously it's Genghis Khan and then Mao Zedong, but then they kind of clearly edited that section according to some of the reports coming in right now from social media. So it is concerning.
They're
to
like
see
the
who-
Google
yeah.
of AI.
Yeah, it is interesting to see who develops these larger technologies and how they're going to be implemented. Because I think we're entering a kind of really crazy world that we've never really been into, and that's why I'm kind of now more open towards talking about privacy coins and even Bitcoin. I'm open to Bitcoin too, but this is a kind of newfound world. Where do you hope it goes? Optimistically, Doug, and how do you see it going tragically? Because there's two pathways that we could be on from this larger trajectory. It could go really bad or really bad, and maybe good. What's the good outcome? What's the really bad outcome?
Obviously, I'm an optimist, or I wouldn't be doing this every day if I thought it was fatalistic and there's no point in me doing it, right? So I think we will win. I think Bitcoin was a major breakthrough what Satoshi invented, and he empowered people with encryption. Right, that's really what it is at the end of the day. It's putting this tool in everybody's pocket and gives them the power that true encryption provides. Monero takes it another step further using encryption to where they can't, people can't even see how much you're transacting and with who. But encryption is kind of the great equalizer because it doesn't matter how powerful a nation state is, it's going to be mathematically impossible for them to break encryption. Okay, we'll get quantum computers to be able to do that, but then we'll be able to quantumly encrypt things. It's going to be this constant battle, but in the end, the way things will play out is that encryption will be the great equalizer, and because it's open source, it will be provided to people in a way where they'll all have it in their pocket. It's kind of like, back to U.S. and everybody being able to have a gun in their home. Everybody will have the power of encryption, which will be the great equalizer for everybody.
Well, I think that makes people who are scared of all this, that's going to make a lot of people more comfortable, right? Because that's the key right there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This is a tool.
Preventing.
This is a tool for good that's going to protect us and protect our liberty in the digital age. This is not because the government's going to do what governments do, right? They're going to continue to try to gain more control and power over people, and they're going to use technology to do it. Mm-hmm. We have to fight back with these open source, decentralized tools and adopt them. Because that's the only way we win is if we all start to use them and we build the network effect in that area, and then it's game over. There's really nothing they can do at that point.
Right.
So how does it go really bad? Give me the technocratic Terminator story of how it all goes bad.
Well, it all goes bad if we don't adopt the tools that actually do provide privacy, and then we just all end up living in a surveillance state. If we even Bitcoin, right? If Bitcoin becomes the one that everybody kind of moves into, well, all right. So we avoided CBDCs, but now is Bitcoin actually essentially a CBDC?
The same thing.
Because governments are capable of co-opting it. We've seen them do that. They can surveil all transactions. They could potentially even censor transactions by working in cahoots with the mining companies, because Bitcoin mining is so centralized. There's just a handful of large companies that does all the mining. When the U.S. government knocks on their door, maybe not during the Trump administration, maybe when things swing back left and they knock on their door and say, hey, here's a list of addresses we don't want transactions going to. If they get enough miners to agree to do that, they can censor transactions. And it's not that hard, because when they knock on their door, what are these U.S. publicly traded companies going to do? Like, oh, we still want our stock value to go up. We want to maintain our business. So yes, government will do whatever you need to do. And in fact, it actually makes it better for us because it keeps out our competitors. Bitcoin mining centralizes more, and now you can censor transactions. So the dystopian version is people opting into the tools that are surveillance tools. And unfortunately, that is currently the course we're on. There are more people doing that.
A lot of people are like, that's what we have now. That's what we're going through right
now. But hopefully, I'm on the show here today, right? I've been talking about this for many, many years. I'm on this show here today. I see things now. It's the next, it's going to go out further, right? It's going from the super small people that understood this in the early days. And now, just like with Bitcoin, more and more people are going to start to understand it. And they're going to start to understand that Bitcoin actually isn't censorship resistant, untraceable digital cash. That people are going to realize that as they start to use it. So it's an information war. We need to get the information out there. Make sure people understand these technologies and what they're opting into, and make sure they make the right choices.
Yeah, we're going to go now to callers for members of LukeUnfiltered.com, as it looks like we have John Black on the line calling in. John, you're live on air. Thank you so much for being a member of LukeUnfiltered.com. What is your question for everyone?
Hey, Luke. Thanks for having me back on. Hey, panel. Thank you for the discussion. I just recently got into crypto, so I'm in spaces on X every night just trying to learn the ropes, but not the reason for my call. One of the things that, you guys do on the best political show ever is cover political topics, but you cover topics that are kind of universal to everyone. And one of the things that I have become a strong advocate for, because frankly, government sucks, is local politics, because that's where you can actually get on the ground and have grassroots efforts to hold people accountable for your votes, but where you can enact real change that you can see when it happens at the federal level. The state just kind of suckles on the federal tit for money, where if you get involved in the local level, you have a little bit more say on how things are kind of divvied up. My main focus is primarily on schools. You guys probably aren't aware of this, but I live in Tennessee, and the governor of Tennessee, Billy, he's a lame duck governor, and he called a special session for this week. The legislature is already in session. However, he still called a special session this week. And the special session is on a couple of things. Number one, hurricane relief for the victims of Hurricane Helene. You guys may have remembered that. It happened in September. We're currently towards the end of January, so you see how fast the government works on stuff like that.
Yeah, FEMA's really great on that one. Yeah, they're really doing a good job there. As they might be even disbanded soon, hopefully. Keep going.
Yeah. The second thing that he wants to vote on is Tennessee's preparedness to enact Trump's immigration policy. Tennessee has less than 200,000 illegal immigrants, closer to 150. We already have a very strong military, and we already have a very robust police force, and we cooperate with ICE. The average illegal immigrant, based on the math, costs the average household approximately $364. So that's really not an issue. That's just more of a red meat thing. The poison pill that he's going for is school vouchers, which they already have in states such as Iowa. I think Florida has some semblance of it, much better than what Tennessee proposes, and Arizona. And it's been a disaster in all of those. And I just, my TISM kicked in, so I did the math on the bill that's before the Tennessee House Legislature. And it's going to cost about $25,000 per student per $7,000 grant for public schools. And Tennessee has 50 rural counties that don't even have public schools. So it makes pretty much no sense in my state to have that. And, the Democrats and the Republicans in lockstep on we don't want this because it doesn't really serve us as a state. And it's really hard getting through to some of these public servants on, hey, we don't want this, because there's special interests that are pushing for this.
But light is the perfect disinfectant. I know I recently got involved in a local town hall meeting here as Atlas is trying to scratch her cone of shame. We're talking about you, ma'am. Yes, as you're being a little disruptive there. But lay down, relax. I said lay down. Thank you very much. And the government here, had two meetings now about fluoride. I went to both of them. The second one was a less, productive. I'm thinking about just releasing the information to get in contact with the local government here, being like, hey, no, we actually demand action here. As of course, giving more attention to a lot of the local causes, absolutely important. And I think it's something that we got to get more involved in. That's something I'm doing, and I'm doing it on my second channel, Luking Out, as a way to kind of show people, hey, this is how you take action. This is how you find out about these meetings. This is how these are the organizations working here in order to bring people together. So what's the main issue? What's the main cause? How can we help with what you're talking about?
Well, it's more of just kind of shifting the zeitgeist in your mind from partisan federal politics into local politics, because where I live at, we have a Republican supermajority in our House, and they passed a rules package, and I'm not kidding you when I tell you this, that includes a timeout room. So if somebody's on the floor and they break rules of decorum, they are relegated to another room where they can still vote electronically, but they are not on the House floor. If you look at pictures of the Capitol, there are state troopers lined up. You have to reserve tickets if you want to attend a session. And this is not just the Tennessee state legislature. I don't know if you know what's going on in Texas, but they have a Republican majority, and they gave Democrats a ridiculous amount of power over things. I want to say it's in Minnesota. The Democrats just did not show up for the opening of their legislative session because the Republicans had a 1-vote majority and they didn't want to vote for Speaker of the House. They're finally in session, but these are all things that people would not know if they're not involved in the local community. I'm lucky because we have, you'll like this, Luke, we have independent media. So we have people that, are working out of their car, their home studios to go and get these sound clips on the leadership just to, hold them accountable. So we have we have independent media from the conservative side to the liberal side.
Where can people find that independent media? Where can people find out more about what you're doing on the local ground there?
One of the best sources is for Tennessee is Patriot Punk Network. He hosts a podcast called Patriot Punk News. There's also the Tennessee Conservative, which the name implies that it is a conservative independent media outlet. And then there's the Tennessee Holler or the Chattanooga Holler, which is the liberal media outlet. You kind of have to wade through some liberal garbage to get the meat and bones of what's going on there.
Yeah, I might know other independent media that might be moving down there to Tennessee soon that I might be taking part in. So I'll just leave it at that. John, any other specific quick updates or questions you have for our panel?
No, just getting into crypto is a daunting task, especially when there's people that have been in the space for well over a decade. If you guys could point me towards any content creator that, I'm going to go with simplifies it to an extent to which a semi-boomer, really.
Yeah, Douglas, do you have any comments on the
You could watch the Monero Talk YouTube channel. We post videos weekly where we do interviews, and then we have a show that we do every Saturday called Monerotopia.com, and it's a community show, so you could even jump up on stage, ask your questions, and we'll walk you through everything. And easiest thing to do is download Cake Wallet if you want to get started with Monero. It also has Bitcoin and Litecoin, but it's a Monero first wallet. Download that. And there's ways to even obtain Monero within the wallet. Easiest way to obtain Monero overall is probably to go on Kraken if it's available where you are. It's not available in New York because of the BIT license, which we need to end. If you wanted to get into that topic as well. But yeah, Kraken, you could grab some Monero and then pull it off the exchange. Don't keep your Monero or any crypto on exchange and send it to your wallet. Send it to your Cake wallet. That's the best way to very easily get into it. And once it's on your wallet, it's just as easy as Venmo at that point.
Yeah. I'm checking my wallet. We set it up right before the show. It's pretty easy, John. You just got to, set up your private key, remember your private key. So far, we got $121 from the Monero community.
Oh,
so
sweet.
thank you so much for everyone who super chatted through Monero. We should get to those super chats. Steph, you got to read them off very quickly and don't wait for pauses. Even if you say something, don't wait for me to say something. Just get right into it. John, anything else you'd like to say? Thank you so much for being a member. Really appreciate you. Before you go, go ahead.
No, I appreciate your work, everything you've done for independent media, Luke, and of course, hi, Steph.
Thank you, John. Appreciate you very much. Steph, take it away.
Okay, we got 904 Classic Legend saying, deport cis liberals and their electrical cigarettes and their sissy electrical cars and Fiats. Golf shall be named Golf of Chevy Silverado V8. Monero says, wouldn't you like to know, says, can't wait to see you and Doug at PorkFest again this year, and maybe even Ross too?
Maybe, yeah, hopefully so.
We're doing
Monero
a big Monero tent at PorkFest this year, by the way.
That's awesome.
With Aaron Dave.
I love PorkFest. PorkFest is a great conference. I'll be there too. I got to get in touch with the organizers. But yeah, I'll be there too. So it'll be fun. Keep going.
Monero Mateo says, cool hand, Luke. Thanks for having Doug on. Legends, fire emoji. EG says, no central banking either if we move to crypto. Thank you, EG. We have 904 Classic Legend again saying IRS sissies should get deported. Nobody wants to talk about that. The Maker 117 says with Monero, taxes are always optional. Keep up the good work, Doug and Luke. Chain analysis says, can you accept Bitcoin so it will make our jobs easier? Thanks. You want to say something?
He's basically saying he's a chain analysis company. So he's saying, please accept Bitcoin, then I can trace your transactions. Because right now he can't trace the tips that are coming in.
All right. Well, we got Ronson saying, my wife is from hell. Sorry about that, Ronson.
Aren't they all?
By its demise says, don't just say end the Fed. Use sound money that makes them obsolete. Free Ross says, Monero is your own private Swiss bank account in your pocket. Chain analysis, IRS, FBI, street thugs, or ex-wives have no idea what you have.
That's good.
It's one of many use cases.
Hulk Hogan says, I fear no man, no beast, or evil, brother. But what you gonna do when Monero mania runs wild on you? Haha. Sam Seapole says, I'll miss the show. Co-hosts, Steph, the guests you've been able to get on, and the conversations and opinions that feel unique compared to other political shows. Luke, I'll be excited to see what you do next. Good luck with your next adventures, everyone.
We definitely need it. Keep going.
That's everything.
You got to let us know that's everything. All right, Doug, this was fun. Thank you so much for showing me how to use the wallet.
I gotta get a few things. I gotta get my thank you to
Yeah.
my wife out there. I just gotta make sure I get that out there.
Oh, yeah.
Sunita,
Yeah.
she's a part of every project I've worked on in Monero land, and I love you.
Yeah, we were speaking to her before the show actually started, and congratulations on everything. I was going to ask you if you wanted to say anything or get into anything as well, and I think we're going to do a members show for 10 minutes really quick where we are going to be asking you your most controversial opinion. So get ready for that one. Anything else you'd like to say about Monero and everything you're doing?
Most importantly, I want to get the word out on XMR Bazaar. Like I was saying earlier, it's not just important that we get to know crypto, but that we actually use it. And that's also a big difference between what we see in the Bitcoin community and a lot of these other cryptos and Monero. It's not about holding it and storing it and hope it goes up in value and hope the U.S. government buys out your bags by putting them in the U.S. Federal Reserve. But it's about actually opting out and using the digital cash to live off of. It's also the best way to earn Monero by selling goods and services directly for it. And it's the best way to spend it peer-to-peer. So we opt out and we create an economy outside of the state-controlled surveillance system. So that's why I'm very bullish and always promoting xmrbazaar.com, because we need to do more than just play around with these cryptos and buy and sell them. We need to actually use them for their intended purposes. Also would like to mention monerotopia.com. That is our conference, Monerotopia. We just had one this past November, and we just posted tickets for the one that will be up and coming in 2026. Also, Mexico City, fantastic conference. Tatiana was there, and many others. Really, really cool. We talk about Monero, a bunch of other privacy tech, and most importantly, we have a large marketplace that goes on there. It's kind of similar to PorkFest, and you can go down and live off of Monero for a couple of days. So check that out, monerotopia.com. It's a great way to come and learn about everything.
Awesome.
As well.
And if people want to support you or find more about your work, where can they do that?
I'm at Douglas Tuman on X, or you could do at Monerotopia on X. And yeah, just go to monerotopia.com. That's also the best way to get in touch with us. Monerotopia at protonmail.com if you want to email us anything specifically.
Kristen, we're going to miss you.
I know. The separation anxiety. It's going to be okay.
Where can people find you and support you?
Just for all my latest updates on what I'm doing and relaunching a different podcast, you can follow me on X at Kristen Megan. And I just want to direct you to help Luke by going to savelukenow.com.
We'll probably put a Monero address on there too soon.
Please do.
Tammy, where can we find out more information about you?
Yeah, you can follow me at Tammy K. Clark on Facebook or at Tammy_K_Clark on X.
Steph?
You can find me on X at Steph WRC.
All right, so this is probably going to be. I don't know when the next time we're going to be live, but stay tuned. Click the subscription button. We're going to, figure out something here as we try to survive the latest IRS attacks on us. We appreciate you guys watching. We appreciate the Monero community. Thank you so much for all of your support. All of the Monero chats really means a lot. Really, it's a really great community, and I think it's really worth delving into and looking into. So check it out. Check out the link down in the description below. And the members video will be out in about 30 minutes from now. So